Okay, we've got some great questions coming in. I believe I'm going to try and pronounce this name correctly, from Coletta. What are your favourite upper, lower and core workouts with weights to get you in shape?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Well, we've been focusing a lot on non-weighted exercises right now, because people in lockdown want to see how you can do exercises without weights. But actually, of course, we do use weights, and perhaps we'll do a video soon on what our actual strength and conditioning program looks like. So yeah, keep tuned for that on our YouTube channel, because we will put that out at some point. However, to answer your question, I guess we'll answer it individually. My favourite upper exercise is chin-ups, and my favourite lower body exercise is squats.
Yeah, and my favourite upper body exercise is lat pull down. I find that really good for my pull face on swimming. And lower body, I do love squats, but to be different to Reece, I'd probably go with leg extension. So really working that quad muscle. Okay, we've got a question in from Evie saying, top tips for keeping open water anxiety at bay.
Good question.
Really, really good question. I would say even like the most elite swimmers will get anxiety at first when they're getting into the open water. The key thing I kind of think about is spending about 10 minutes just getting in that water and getting familiar with the water.
Yeah.
Because obviously the coldness and the darkness are probably the two biggest parts of the anxiety. So if you can get in, get some cold water in your wetsuit, bob under, get used to being under the water and just swim around a little bit. Spend that time doing that, and I find that that really helps calm the nerves.
Show the camera a bit.
Lola has just finally calmed down. Oh no, she hasn't. Spoke too soon. Hopefully that helps you, Evie. But we'll probably end up doing a video at some point about open water swimming and our top tips for that. So yeah, great question. Okay, we've got a question in from Ellie who says that we are her inspiration, first of all. So thank you very much. That's lovely to hear. She's 17, and she wondered how old you were when you really got into triathlon. Okay, well, actually, we only got into triathlon probably about 5 years ago.
Yeah, we were both professional swimmers before, so we've always been elite level athletes from a very young age. But triathlon, I think I was 23.
And I was just about to turn 21, I think, or around 20. And did our first Ironman when I was turning 21. So
yeah,
we were actually quite young doing Ironman at that age, but yeah.
But late to start triathlon.
Very late to start triathlon. So yeah, you've got a few years on us, Ellie. So yeah, thanks for your question. Okay, we've got another question in from Roy. Do you use PR Lotion more for training or competition?
So at the moment, we've been using a lot of lotion, because as you will know, if you follow us, we've been doing these Z Pro triathlon races on Zwift, and the intensity is sky high. So we've been using absolutely loads of it for that. On top of that though, we've been using it how we normally would, which is for recovery purposes and for our intense training sessions. One of the biggest things we use it for is when we do weightlifting. We put it on beforehand, and as Jeff would say, more is better. So yeah, we've been applying a lot of lotion quite regularly at the moment. Yes. Lola likes it too, because she always licks it.
She always licks it off our legs, which I don't know if that works
probably not good for her.
A good lactate buffer or recovery tool for dogs, not sure, but it definitely works for us. So thanks for your question, Roy. Okay, we've got a question from Mark. Hey Lucy and Reece, how many hours do you train per week? Big fan of yours since I came into triathlon some months ago. Oh, thank you very much, Mark.
Yeah, so it varies is the short answer. Long answer is basically we would periodize our training program for Lucy in particular, it would be around Kona. And as we get in towards a base phase, the volume would be high, and then we tend to drop the volume but increase the intensity as we get nearer and nearer to a big competition. That said, on average, I would say if we took the average of the year, including the times around Christmas time when perhaps we're doing very little, I'd say about 20 hours a week. But on a week where we were like in season and training heavily, anything from 30 to 40 hours if you include all of the little bits like core work and stretching and the bits and bobs that go with the actual training program.
Yeah, so short answer, quite a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a question from Caitlin. Will you ever do a triathlon in Canada and specifically Mont Tremblant? Or she's hinting at going to Mont Tremblant. I think we would love to. We haven't really raced much over in Canada. In fact, I don't think, apart from when I was a swimmer, when I raced in Toronto, I haven't actually done a triathlon in Canada yet. So I think once all of this has passed, where we are now, me and Reece are going to want to race all over the world. We are just itching to get back to racing. So we'll try and put that one on our calendar at some point. Okay, we have another question. Loads of questions coming in. Keep them coming in. Amory, hopefully I've got that right. Would you pronounce it like that?
I can't read. I don't know how you actually read them.
Okay, I'm going to go with Amory. I really hope I've said your name correctly. How much time are you spending in a strength workout? She's French, so I'm really sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. So yeah, how much time are you spending doing strength workouts? Typically, when we were in a normal kind of block with racing, we will aim to do 3 strength workouts a week, but we do find that can be quite difficult when we're in a really intensive block and we're racing. At the moment, we are trying to do a small amount of strength work probably every single day, just short little workouts. A bit like what we did today, we'll try and do that every day, but maybe a tiny bit shorter just to keep our core nice and strong. And then, yeah, we'll do at least 5 workouts at the moment where we're doing real lifting and strength work. But that's because we've kind of gone back to a off-season maintenance phase due to not having any racing coming up. Okay, next question is from Stephanie. What is the best way to train to lower heart rate? So
if you mean is in like lower your heart rate in general, so improving your aerobic fitness, so lowering your heart rate for running the same pace, for example. Lots of ways you can do this, but in general, it's just getting fitter and putting in a big aerobic base. And you'll probably find that once your aerobic fitness has improved, you can run or cycle or swim the same pace for a lower heart rate, which would equate to a lower rate of perceived exertion as well. So that is how you would do it in general. If you mean lower your heart rate like in a workout, then you obviously would just do a recovery block and your heart rate should come down. So hopefully that answers whichever question that was directly aimed at. Yeah, hopefully that's okay. Next question
is from Kathy. How are you finding your motivation during lockdown?
We'll be very honest and say we've had peaks and troughs in our motivation. We're very driven anyway. I think perhaps coming from a background as a swimmer where you spend anything from 30 to 40 hours a week staring at floor tiles in a pool with no sensory kind of stimulation. There was no music. You can't really talk to anyone apart from short rest at the side in between sets. So going from that to triathlon, where you've got, you know, nowadays we have indoor Zwift setups, we've got music, we can communicate with each other. For us, it feels like a massive improvement in our training, kind of like sensory motivation. So we're dealing with it quite well in that regard. That said, we both absolutely love racing and we're both very, very fit right now. And we were coming towards a peak in April where we were due to race Ironman South Africa. And unfortunately, of course, that couldn't go ahead. So we've been training for months over the cold, horrible, hard British winter months. To not actually get that race at the end of that horrible block was a real low blow. And we did struggle. But when you pull it out onto the grand scheme of things of what's actually going on in the world right now, our problems seem so trivial compared to, you know, the awful things that you see on the news each day. So we're very grateful and we're very lucky to be in the position we're in. And fortunately, we both absolutely love training anyway. So yeah, highs and lows, but relatively still motivated, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one way that our kind of tips to help improve your motivation is, even though we haven't got a race, we're trying to set different kinds of goals at the moment. So working on our power on the bike has been a goal for us, and just trying to get as strong as possible. So doing workouts like this, where normally you might not be able to do it because you're so intensely training for your swim, bike, run, you've got races, you can actually now go back to that maintenance phase. And if there's niggles that you often get, you can really work on trying to iron those out. So that's definitely what we're trying to do at the moment to keep us motivated. Okay, I think this is probably going to be our last question because we've only got a couple of minutes left. So Toby has sent us in a question, and he said, awesome, thanks for today's workout. When and where do you place your body workout into your training day? How do you recover from your multiple training sessions? Watch you for the full 8 hours of Kona last year, never watched continuous hours TV ever before. Oh, thank you, Toby. That's 53-year-old Toby. So thank you so much. So first part of the question is, when do we place our body workouts into our training day? So I guess around our swim, bike, run. So a good question. Reece, you're the coach, so you can answer where we put those.
Yeah, again, it varies. One of the things we used to do when we were swimmers is a lot of dry land work at the end of each rep. So we'd swim really hard for 100 meters, climb out the pool, do some press ups or whatever it was the coach would get us to do, and then we'll dive straight back in and swim. Sometimes that can be difficult to do in a public pool, but if you do have an environment where you're able to do that safely, that's an incredibly hard and rewarding and beneficial way of throwing in some land work exercises. If you don't want to do that or can't do that, then we used to do, and we still do this thing called pre-fatiguing. So we might do a really hard leg strength workout and then go for a nice easy run. And what you'll find is that you're pre-fatigued. So that run that would perhaps feel nice and easy and the pace would normally feel easy suddenly feels very, very difficult. But it's a really good way of building muscular endurance in your legs or your body, wherever you're working on, but also teaching you to run with good technique because you've pre-fatigued the muscles. So they're already very tired. So your body will naturally try and run with better technique to compensate for the heavy leg feeling.
Yeah. And obviously, if you've got a key bike or run workout, then we wouldn't recommend doing strength training before. We'd recommend getting that key cardio workout done and then doing your strength workout so that you can do it either way. Yeah. And the second part of this question is, how do you recover from your multiple training sessions? So obviously, we have quite a few different tools. We normally will apply AMP lotion after a pretty tough workout. We find that really helps with our recovery. Getting a meal in straight away, so having a protein shake instantly and then maybe having a lighter meal after that. We also have got a very good tool called a Theragun and a foam roller. I'll just grab a Theragun if you haven't seen one of these before. We often use both of these tools for our recovery. We can use both of them for a warm-up as well, so they're great for either way, but I find that really helps with loosening the muscles and blood flow. One other tip, when you can get back to having a physio, getting a weekly massage really helps. And we actually asked our physio to use AMP lotion for our massage, and we find that that really helps as well. Just having a little bit of a chill out, listening to some relaxing music. Hydration. Yeah. We also have some Aquilo boots that give you almost like an ice bath and compression. But yeah.
So we obviously at the professional level, every little bit counts. So we are doing absolutely everything all the time, and they all add up to quite a large recovery benefit. So there's times where we've become complacent, everyone does, and we might get a little bit lazy on our recovery. Or for example, we might be doing a really hard workout and then straight away afterwards the dog needs to go out and do a wee or something like that, and then we've forgotten to do our routine. And we really noticed that if we neglect our recovery routine, our training starts to deteriorate. So yeah, I think if you do all of those little bits and you do them consistently, you're really, really going to start to see some improvements in your performance.
Brilliant. Well, thank you everyone for your questions today. We have loved doing that workout for you. I hope you enjoyed doing it too. I hope
She's
that
asleep,
you actually enjoyed watching us and not just Lola, who is now really knackered. So thank you everyone. We've managed to wear the dog out. Yeah, so if you enjoyed that, Amp Human are going to be doing tons more events like this with other athletes, other professionals. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned for that, and thank you all for joining us. We hope you had a bit of fun and got a good workout in there as well. So thank you everyone. Yeah, tuning out from Team Charles-Barclay. Stay tuned for more.
Bye.
Bye.